All right. Welcome to another fun episode of Avid Movie Fans. Um, Today we're gonna be doing a joint feature talking about a new film that came out recently called Saltburn. Um, if you don't know Saltburn, it is how do you explain Saltburn? Uh, it's basically not rich kid going to a rich school, and he kind of infiltrates the wealthy family, and they God, how do you explain this film?
He gets invited, so he has a tragedy
Mhm.
and a shitty life, and one of the kids that he goes to school with invites him to his family for the summer.
And the family that he goes to is affluent, and he is not. Um, are we going to do a spoiler review for this one, or
Yeah, let's do it because I think a lot of people know the spoilers of this one anyways, but yeah, let's make this one a spoiler.
so I'll just have to make sure that I put that in the you know description for the video. All right, so right off the bat, what did you think of this film?
Overall, I liked it. I think the style, cinematography wise, is beautiful.
Yeah.
It kept me entertained. Um, the family was snobby and annoying, which I guess is to be expected. I guess the whole like gist of the film was rich people are just awful. um, and I thought that I was confused because it seemed like the main character might be gay, but then he was maybe bi. I don't know. I
Uh,
don't know what he
they
was. Maybe he was just a
they kind of
psychopath.
skipped
I don't know.
over that conversation as if it didn't need to happen, as if his sexuality, I guess, didn't matter and more like he was sexually fluid, which is fine. I mean, I myself am sexually fluid, so it's fine. But in real life, you have that conversation and you have to explain that to people. They just kind of skipped over that, and you really didn't get to know much about this main character, because he didn't really talk a whole
Well,
bunch about it,
until the end, you figure out everything and what's actually going on.
except for I watched it twice, and I still don't understand why.
He was
Because
just crazy.
he lies about his past. You think that he's not wealthy, and we did do the spoiler alert thing, but he lies about not being wealthy. He is in fact wealthy. His parents didn't die in the
Or
beginning,
his father.
or his father didn't die. They're both perfectly fine. Um, and so that gets so basically, I don't. It doesn't really explain why he goes after, because like again, they don't explain his sexuality, so it's not like he is obsessed over this rich snob that he befriends. Um, he doesn't need the money, so even though all of his like all of the things that he's working for, that he's lying that he's working for, go right out the window when you find out that he actually comes from money. Um, when we were talking about this before we started recording, I agree with you on something that you said, and we should talk about this next. Um, not really many likable characters in this movie. Um, None of them. Not even the guy in.
I don't think any of them were likable. None of them were likable. I think the entertaining part was just watching
Mhm.
the train wreck of it. I think that was the whole point. It's like, let's watch this train wreck. And it's beautifully filmed. So you're entertained, your brain's entertained by it, even though you're just like, is
I'll
there a
buy
point
that.
of watching this?
I'll buy that. But one of the things that people tend to like to know about train wrecks, because after a certain point, you stop being, enthralled about the train wreck, and you kind of want to know what happened? Are there any survivors? Kind of situation. And nothing really ever gets explained in this film, and that bothers me because again, you think you're following this, but even when you're following him, thinking that he's a poor kid who is just taken under the wing of this rich, popular, gorgeous kid, he still wasn't likable, because he abandons his first friend
Well,
without even saying anything, never goes back.
mhm.
So,
Well, the guy that I just want to put it out there because we did talk about this, and
Mhm.
I think this is what I witnessed watching it. The guy that took him under his wing
Mhm.
and was like, "Oh, this poor guy." That guy, what was his name? Do we remember?
I don't remember any of the actors' names other than Rosamund Pike. I don't remember any of the characters' names because again, it's been like 2 weeks since I watched it. Usually, I watch them,
Yeah,
and then I go right into it. I wrote some notes now, but guess what? I didn't write any characters' names down.
Felix
Okay.
or Al. Oliver is one and Felix is the other because I
Yes,
actually
Ollie.
looked it up,
Ollie
but I
was
can't remember which one's which.
Ollie, I think, was the poor kid tried to infiltrate the rich family. And then Felix does sound familiar. So
Okay, so um, so Felix is the popular one.
yes, yes.
So Felix was not a good character either because he was kind of using Oliver to make himself because everybody kept being like, "Oh, you're the new boy," kind of thing. Like the last one was from like last year he brought some other friend over, so like it's definitely like an ego thing for him and for his family because his family also was like talking about him. They're like, "Oh, and his mother's a drunk and whatever," and it's just like, okay, like this is clearly like an entertainment for them. They're bringing him over for entertainment
But that
purposes.
but that happens in real life too. And again, and this is where you and I deferred when we were talking about, or differed when we were talking about this before we hit record, is that yeah, he wasn't a great character. I guess we'll call him Felix. I'll correct it here if that's not his name.
Yeah, if it's the other name,
Yeah. But for the remainder of this video, we're going to be referring to him as Felix and the other one as Ollie. If that's not correct, here are their actual names. But um, I I don't know if having a hobby of taking somebody of limited means under your wing when you're affluent makes you a bad person. I guess it really depends on the reason why you're doing it, and it's not for popularity because everybody was angry at Felix for bringing along the weird kid. It wasn't like he wasn't popular for doing it. He was actually, a lot of them were like, I don't really like being next to him. I don't like being around him. He's weird. So I don't know. He wasn't doing it for the popularity votes, so I can't agree with you there.
maybe for the drama though of it.
He has enough drama in his life. Trust me, with his family and his best friend. His name here, I don't remember his name at all. In fact, he was probably one of the least likable characters in the entire thing.
I think the real question here is, did you find any of the scenes sexy?
Yes. The two villains, Ollie and the one that I don't like, who the best friend who used to be affluent or isn't as affluent as the family. When Ollie goes in and asks him if you're gonna like behave from now on, I did kind of actually find that scene intriguing. I'm sorry, the actor who plays Ollie doesn't have that chemistry or that pull, that allure that made me be like, you don't have that power. So why are you going to sit here saying, are you going to behave? Because you don't have any power over this guy at the moment. Basically, you're just straddling his downstairs area. That's all you're doing. It wasn't believable. But had the scene been written better, had the actors had the chemistry and the allure, or even like the not camaraderie, the combativeness but like a playful attitude. Like it was kind of, it wasn't deadpan, but it was damn near close to deadpan. But the concept I found, I'm like, I could totally write the scene better. And actually, the whole film could have been written better. First of all, this film brought nothing new to this entire genre. It kind of like fizzled away for a while, rich kids, trying to manipulate each other. And
I think I think what the filmmakers were betting on was that the ending would shock people. And actually the very last scene everyone was talking about.
Thing scene.
To be fair. But that's not what I meant. I meant the ending of the actual film.
Yeah, the
last scene to me was not the ending of the film. The reveal is the ending of the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is actually going on through the entire film, because the reveal, it's a misdirection, because he's talking to somebody, and I don't remember who it is, throughout the film. Kind of as a narrator, but he's not even narrating the film. But he's sitting here talking about, did I love Felix, or whatever his name was, and then launches into this story. See, the reveal would have been better if I liked the character, but I didn't. And it's not that I didn't like him because he was a villain. I didn't like him because he was a douchebag. Like, you can have a villainous character and still love him and be like, ooh, this is good, this is great, I love this. It didn't have that, and I don't know if it's the fault of the actor or the fault of the writing or a combination of the two.
I agree with you. He was not really likable, or I didn't really feel like, oh, I like this guy. Also, I kept being confused because I was like, there's all these like weird, like kind of kinky sexual scenes, but then they're all just like I'm like, what is the point of this? Like, why are they adding this in?
See, like I said, they brought nothing new to the table. In fact, actually, they did worse than bring nothing new to the table, because this is the same thing that you see in like Dangerous Liaisons or Cruel Intentions, which is basically the young adult version of Dangerous Liaisons, if I remember correctly. And even a film that did it a lot better was The Talented Mr. Ripley, with Jude Law and Matt Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow. That film did it better. This film tried to do shock value, and then you don't care, and they did it wrong. Everything that they were trying to do, they did incorrectly, in my opinion, because the sex scenes weren't sexy. They kind of just were thrown in there for shock value, and I wasn't shocked because I'd seen this 1,000 times in other films. Yeah, go ahead.
They did. I think the first sex scene, to me was a little confusing, because I was like, I thought he was gay, but then he was immediately with this girl.
Yeah.
But I think the point of it, that one was like a hint at what was going to come, because remember, she must have been like on her period or something, because she had like blood.
Yeah.
And I think it was hinting at where the film was going to lead to. Like, it was like a metaphor or whatever.
No.
Not metaphor.
She's even having that
Foreshadowing.
Right. But she's having that conversation with him. No, we can't do this because I'm on my period. I mean, she doesn't, or I'm on my period. She doesn't actually go ahead and say that, but the conversation right out, and he says, do I look like I care? And then just goes ahead anyway. So yeah, and that was supposed to be a shock value. For me, it was a little bit more of a gross value, not because, that's unclean or whatever. It just doesn't appeal to me. But again, also, all the other sex scenes that happen in this film, even with the grave, happen secluded. In that film, it was almost like he did it out in the open, and he was hoping that he would be seen, and he was.
He wanted to be caught. Yeah. All of it seemed that way for sure.
Yeah. And it almost seemed like he was trying to turn people against each other, but it happened so quickly that him moving his chess pieces didn't go anywhere. Like he was trying to get maybe possibly the brother and the sister to be angry with each other, and that never happened. In fact, the any sort of like response to that first sex scene didn't go anywhere. And then he hooks up with the best friend, who again also gay, straight, never really discussed. Probably doesn't really matter, I guess. I cared only because I'm like, I'm trying to follow this story, and when you're trying to follow a story, you want details, and I feel like this movie was missing out on the details that would have upped the stakes, made me care, and that's it. It was low stakes, and I didn't give a shit, and I've seen it twice now, and I ended up even hating it more. And I didn't hate it the first time, but I know that I disliked it more.
So
The second,
I didn't hate the film. I'm just gonna put it out there. I didn't
right.
hate it.
Mhm.
Do I think it's good or really all that memory? It's funny because it's talked about a lot, and a lot of people are like, "This is this film,"
Yeah.
and I feel like they're just talking about it because there were a couple scenes that were like sexy-ish. You know what I mean? Like that's what's the like, especially the last scene. Like everybody's talking about the last scene
Yeah.
because he was dancing around naked, and it's just like, but that had nothing in my mind, nothing to do with the film. They
And it
just
went
I
on
feel
way
like
too. Yeah.
the director was just like, "Hey, let's do this."
Right. Right.
You
And then
know?
at the same time, why? A, I feel like I missed a step too, because we never find out why he's going after this family, because he's already got money himself. You find out that's the big reveal.
Well,
Not
he
even
did get the house though.
yeah, but did they explain
At the
why?
end.
And then what happened to the father? Oh, the father died. That's right. Father died off screen. That's another thing. Like things were happening off screen. Like you see the scene with him talking to the mom, played. Sorry, I love Rosamund Pike, but very boringly played by, like, she was wasted. Her talent was wasted in this film. But like
I did like that one scene where she says she was like, "You know, I was a lesbian once."
that part was funny, and
That was a good line.
and that
You know,
part
like talking about like
that part was in the trailer. So I
Sure.
mean,
Yeah.
I already knew that part was coming. But like, uh, a lot of the more interesting things happened off screen. Like, why is she on a ventilator at the end? Like at one moment he's like talking to her in the cafe, and the next minute he's doing his villain speech to her while she's on the ventilator. And then also the father died off screen as well. Doesn't really even say how. Um, it just a lot of things were done for shock value, and I was just like, I don't care. Like him having sex with the grave. And again, if he was doing this to be a supervillain and he didn't actually like uh Felix, why did he have sex with the grave? So like none of it made sense to me. And at the end, after the reveal, I was more confused than I was when I was slowly getting the details one way, and then suddenly it gets thrown the other way, and then I'm like, I don't care anymore, and I'm out, and I've seen it twice, and I'm going to tell you now. Other than I just wanting to watch the dancing scene at the end, which by the way went on for far too long, like
Mhm.
I didn't need to see the whole fucking song. Okay, yay, you won. Not really sure what you won because I'm pretty sure you have your own house that you could be dancing around naked in. And again, why did you hate these people so much? You never really told why. It's not because you're jealous because they have money, because you have money. So it was confusing. The plot line was simple. The details were confusing. Nothing quite added up to a big picture. And at the end, I'm like, yes, it was a train wreck, but who cares? And I know that's horrible to say because I'm just like, it's just confusing. I'm not getting all the details, and it doesn't really affect me. So I'm going to move on with my life. And I know that I've seen it twice. I'm not going to see it a third time. I'm going to move on with my life. There are better
Yeah.
that do the
Okay.
same thing.
So for me, I think visually speaking, it's nice. I think, like I said, watching the train wreck and watching some of the, like with the first time you see these scenes, they're like, oh, like they're shocking. So I think that's why it was good in my mind, like to an extent, but
Mhm.
it's not like something I'm going to watch again.
Yeah.
or care to watch again.
And
Like,
you've seen
okay,
it.
I've seen it,
You've seen it
and
once?
I think I've seen it better.
You've seen it once, you said?
I've only seen it once,
Okay,
but
I'd be interested sometime this spring. I'd be interested in you if it's still available for free on Amazon with my membership. I'd be interested in you watching it again in a few months and doing your own review, like a recap, a few words recap instead of a few words review, because
Mhm.
I watched it twice and I watched it a week apart. Because I was unimpressed the first time, and then I was what's the word I want to use? Off put the second time. Um,
Yeah.
and also, what's with making all the queer characters recently be villainous? Like I thought we were getting away from that. And like, yeah, inclusivity is great, but the two most awful characters in this, who again, both of them, you never really understand what their intentions are.
Were like queer.
Both of them are queer. Both of them are villainous, and there's no reason why. So I don't know. Let's get into a rating, and then we can actually. I'm done talking about this film. If you want to move on to the next one,
Yeah, let's just move on to the next one.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what did you give this rating?
So I would give it a thumbs up just for the cinemat I can't speak apparently
Cinematography.
right now. Thank
Cinematography.
you.
You got it.
Um,
Between both of our brains, we're still a halfwit. Go ahead.
okay, great. Yeah, no, I mean the cinematography is great. It's beautiful. I for like as a film, as an artistic film,
Mhm.
it's good in that sense. Do I like the story? No, I don't really care for the story, and so in that sense, if you're looking for a good story, a good plot line, something like that, good characters,
Mhm.
this isn't it. But if you're just someone that appreciates artistic looking films,
Yeah.
then you're gonna like this.
If
So
you
I'm gonna give this a thumbs up just for that.
okay,
You go ahead.
I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
I figured.
Flat out. If you are looking for uh sexually confused poor young man infiltrating rich people and rich people's lives and trying to play the part of a rich person, which is like the first half of this movie before the confusing and pointless reveal that just complicates the storyline even more to a point where you just stop caring after a certain point, then I suggest strongly the movie that I mentioned earlier in the film. Well, I mentioned a couple, but the one that I'm specifically talking about is The Talented Mr. Ripley. It's a late 90s film, brilliantly done. It's based on a book series, and there are three of them actually done. They are not done as a trilogy. In fact, you don't even really know that they're connected, other than the fact that the main character's name in all of them is Tom Ripley. Like, for example, Matt Damon is in one of them, and then quite a few years later, John Malkovich plays Tom Ripley in a movie called Ripley's Game. And then I think there was one from the 70s or 80s that came out. And again, you don't know that these movies are connected, other than the fact that written by the same person and the characters the same. Played differently in every single movie, but the best one, and especially you, Gabe, if you've never seen it, if you like cinematography, that film much more beautifully done. It's more like poetically done, and then also it's done throughout all of Europe, so you're not just stuck in America. You get to see
Mhm.
beautiful Europe, specifically Italy. So this one definitely gets a thumb down from me. I did
Yeah,
not.
thumbs up for me. Also, I would
Yeah.
just wanted to also give it a thumbs up because I know a lot of people like certain parts of the film. Like
Mm.
I have seen all over. I know a bunch of like friends of mine that also are like, oh, that last scene or whatever it is.
It's not a
And
good.
so because of that, I feel like there has to be a thumbs up because there are people that like this film for the eye candy.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
we have to recognize that.
Yeah, if I was going to go buy eye candy, then I would have done a thumbs up too, because I enjoyed the last scene. It's actually the reason why I decided to make myself suffer to watch it through a second time, so I can get to the end scene. I'm like, here's your reward at the end of suffering through however long this fucking movie is. But no, I don't base on my ups and downs and middle ground.
But I think we
based
also have to acknowledge that there are going to be people that like this, and so I think
Sure,
that's
sure.
also, I just need to put that out there.
Sure, but was it gratuitous? Absolutely. Was it pointless? You betcha. Was it nice? Sure, we'll go with that. That's 1 out of 3 strikes. So that's great. Good for you. So anyway, if you want to impress Gabe in a movie, and if you're out there, filmmakers, just put in some gratuitous nudity. Doesn't need to be either way. Could be, and get enough.
No,
like
that's
it based
not
on
why
that.
I'm giving it a thumbs up.
No,
I'm just putting it
no.
out there that there
Yeah, no, get enough other people to like it, and then Gabe will enjoy it. So no, I'm sorry.
I did think it was visually not like the way, like just the beginning part, like you watch it and you're like, okay, I can get it, because I can't remember what movie I tried to watch before that one. There was some other film that I wanted to turn on, and I was like, I can't watch this, and then I turned that on, and it was immediately like beautifully filmed, and I was like, okay, my brain's entertained, so let's watch this.
Gotcha. Okay.
So for me, a nicely filmed, it doesn't. Yeah, I'm into artsy fartsy films. Let's be honest. That's
As am I.
that's
As am I,
something
but,
about me that
right.
needs to be mentioned on this channel, I guess.
Sure. As am I. But I think also I like substance, and I feel like the last thing I'm going to say about this film, and then we'll advertise for the one that we're going to film after a little bit of a brief break. Art for just art's sake feels like it feels cheap to me. Feels like a ripoff. Again, this wasn't even new art. This feels like it was plagiarized art, just put in some pretty scenic areas, and then and so many different plot lines happening all at the same time that, again, storyline got mumbled. I won't even say convoluted, because it's not confusing. It's easy to follow, but it's just it's mumbled. It's blurry. The plot doesn't really connect at all. It feels like it's 2 movies. Like if you and I wrote a movie together, and we couldn't agree, and we went outside in a thunderstorm, and we did a battle to the death over who was going to get to write their film, and we matched each other evenly, and we decided, all right, fine, we'll do both of our films, and we'll throw them together. Mine will be the first half, yours will be the second half, and it will make no sense whatsoever. That's what it feels like happened in this film, because it was 2 different films, and they just didn't mesh. They clashed. They didn't mesh. So it made no sense to me. That's all I'm going to say about this one. I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Well, I guess I will say it does have a familiar feel to other films I have seen.
Yes.
I will say that. I don't even know if I would say that it's like 2 films put together, but it does remind me of some other films that have kind of better, more like shocking twists to them.
Like I said, this one felt plagiarized. Anyway, we're running out of time. This is actually one of our shorter full-length reviews.
The next one's going to be really long.
That next one we're going to be talking about, I feel like we're going to be talking about the movie very little, and all the stuff that the movie implicates is even more.
We'll try to connect it.
Yeah. All right. Well, so stay tuned. Next one that we're reviewing will be, and it'll be out in a couple of days. Will be Leave the World Behind. We'll be filming that tonight, and then also soon, Gabe and I have finally decided we are going to brave the world of YouTube once again, and we are going to try and do a full-length movie reaction. That'll be coming up in the near future. I got 2 plays coming up back to back that I'm starring in, Robin Hood and Hamlet. So we're going to try and do one before then, before my schedule gets a little too crazy, but we'll talk more about that later on. But stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Make sure, what did you guys think of Saltburn? Is there movies that you think did better at the same concept. Make sure you like, always care, but like, share, comment, subscribe. I swear I've only had one of these so far.
And if you guys did like it, tell us why you liked it.
Right.
Because we are very curious.
Absolutely. In every facet of my life, I am curious. That's one of them. Anyway, see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.